Is yoga good for back pain, both lower back pain and upper back pain? Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Candy, and in this video, I'm going to tell you about some yoga poses that are good for lower back pain, for upper back pain, as well as some yoga poses that you should avoid if you have back pain. Now, if you find this video helpful, give it a like or thumbs up, and subscribe to our channel so you can get notified of our other future videos. So before I talk about the specific poses that are good for lower and upper back pain, I want to first just talk about yoga in general. Yoga is a form of mindful movement where you're focused on your body, you're focused on your muscles, you're focused on your breath, and you're not thinking about the other stressful activities in your life. You're really present in the moment, and it's good for relieving tension, it's good for stress management, and all of that can increase your sensitivity to pain. So yoga is good for just general pain, but specifically for upper and lower back pain. So first of all, what poses are good for lower back pain? And the ones I'm going to describe in this video are the child's pose, the downward facing dog, the warrior series, and the pigeon pose. So first of all, the child's pose is my favorite yoga pose overall for many different types of back pain, both lower back pain and for upper back pain. And the reason for that is because it's so versatile, and you can do it in so many different ways to affect different parts of your back. So how that would go, you get down on all fours on your hands and knees and put your hands out in front of you. Now you can roll back like this, and if you focus on lifting your back and stretching back that way, you target the focus to your lower back muscles and you can stretch them out if they're stiff. Now many people with lower back pain, they also have stiff hip and buttock muscles. And if you make a little change, if you arch your back not all the way down, not all the way up, but just kind of in a neutral position, and then sit back, you can shift the focus to your hips to where you feel like you're feeling a stretch in your glutes, maybe getting a little pinch in the groin if you hit the end range of your hip motion, and you can stretch out your hips as well. Now additionally, the child's pose can be good for upper back pain if you make a little modification of walking your hands out forward, sinking in and feeling a stretch across your upper back, underneath your arms and your lats, and even turning your hands palm up to get even a little bit deeper of a lat stretch there. So that's the child's pose. Now, the other pose that I talked about was the downward facing dog. And in that one, you're going to come up on your feet, you're going to put your hands down on the floor and walk them forward. Now this is a stretch that's good for your calves too, so you want to keep your feet flat on the floor. Traditionally, you'd want to keep your feet together like that, keep your heels on the floor, and only go as far as you can, where you keep your heels on the floor so you're getting a good calf stretch, and also stretching out your upper and lower back in that pose. Coming back up to standing, the warrior series is good for your hip flexors, and that's a common problem in people who have lower back pain. So the warrior series consists of a warrior 1, warrior 2, and warrior 3 poses. In the warrior 1, you're facing your hips straight ahead of you, and this leg is back. The leg in back is the one where you're stretching the hip flexors, and you kind of go into a lunge. Now you don't want to go into too far back of a lunge. In fact, there's a pose called the reverse warrior where you run one hand down your leg and the other hand up in the air, and you kind of arch backwards. And that's actually not a great pose for people who have lower back pain. That's going to be on the list of ones probably to avoid because you get a lot of arch in your back, and that can jam the joints together, which can make it kind of uncomfortable or even pinch some nerves in your lower back. So you want to avoid excessive backward bending when doing the yoga warrior pose. You want to keep your hips straight ahead, push your hips forward, keep your spine neutral, not too arched, also not too flexed, and push your hips forward. Now you may notice that you may not be able to be perfectly vertical, particularly if you have some tight hip flexors, but just go so you keep your spine in a neutral position, feel a stretch right there, and then you'll raise your arms up overhead. Again, in the traditional warrior 1 pose, your arms are going to be straight vertical, but if you don't have that kind of mobility in your shoulders and that kind of flexibility in your lats, you may just have your arms kind of up like that and not completely vertical. And that's okay. You don't have to do things the textbook way. You need to do them the way that's best for you and for your body. So that's warrior 1. Warrior 2, you kind of open up to the side a little bit. You open your hips out this way, and you still get a little bit of a stretch on your hip flexor, but it kind of shifts it more to your inner thigh adduct your groin muscles, and then you lunge out this way with your arms to the side. So that's warrior 2. Most of the rotation should come through your pelvis and through your upper trunk, which is made to rotate, not through your lower back. So you're not coming this way. You open your hips, open your pelvis, come to the side, and that's warrior 2. Now, warrior 3 pose is actually a little bit more of a balance and a stability pose. You're going to be doing an exercise where you lean out like this, put your hands out in front, and leg and back. And that's actually a kind of a difficult balance exercise to do. So if you need to, hang on to a chair or a piece of furniture, something stable to keep you from falling. It's very much kind of like the bird dog exercise that you may have seen if you've ever been to physical therapy in the past, where you go out like that. And a common mistake that people make with this exercise is they arch their back too much. But you want to keep your spine in a neutral position, extend your arm and leg, and keep your spine in a neutral position. Now, you want to apply that same principle when doing the warrior 3, so you don't want to go into an excessive arch, even if it means that your leg sags down a little bit and you can't be straight across like this. It's better to keep your spine in a neutral position, keep your back flat, and only go out as far as you can. Now, if you have some shoulder pain as well, thumbs up like that as opposed to thumbs down will be a better position for your shoulders. And then bringing your head down into a neutral position so you're not cocking your neck up like that. So that's warrior 3. The other pose that I mentioned that would be good for lower back pain, a lot of people with lower back pain do have stiffness in their hips or in their hip rotators or piriformis muscle. And so the cobra pose is really good. The pigeon pose is really good for your hip rotator muscles. Now that's a difficult exercise to do. You can stretch your piriformis muscle either sitting in a chair, where you're sitting in the chair and you have your leg crossed like that, or you can do it laying on your back like this. But in the pigeon pose, you'd be stretching that same muscle across like this, also stretching your hip flexors at the same time. Now, someone who's really flexible and kind of a yogi can go all the way down and flat, but if that's not you, it's certainly not me. Use a little yoga block under your butt there, or just kind of stay up like this and stretch as best as you can. Again, you don't want to injure yourself by overstretching when doing yoga with the intent of helping your back. So those are the yoga poses that are good for lower back pain. Now, what yoga poses are good for upper back pain? Now, I already mentioned the child's pose, where you make the modification of walking your hands out forwards and even kind of turning palms up like that, so you get a little bit of a stretch in your lats. You can also do another upper back pose from that same position called thread the needle, where you rotate one arm through and kind of twist your trunk like that, or thread the other arm through and twist your trunk like that. And again, the rotation should come from your upper back, not from your lower back when doing that. And then the other exercise that's good for your upper back from this position is the cat and the camel pose. Again, you don't want to excessively arch from your lower back. So if you just kind of oscillate up and oscillate down, thinking about moving through your shoulder blades and upper back, rounding up and rounding down and rounding up and rounding down. It's not excessive pelvic tilt like this, particularly in the downward motion, because again, that can excessively arch your lower back. If you do have some lower back pain, you may just want to avoid that end altogether and just stretch up like this with your chin down and head neutral. So you get a good stretch through your upper back. Now, what yoga poses should you avoid? I already mentioned the reverse warrior pose is one you should avoid because it excessively arches your lower back like this. Another common yoga pose that you should probably avoid, and for the same reasons of excessively arching your back, is the cobra pose. Now, this is actually a common rehab exercise for back pain, but for certain types of back pain, in fact, I'd say most types of back pain, this excessive arch of your lower back isn't great, and you should probably avoid it. Now, if you want to do little modified half push-ups or propping up on your elbows, so you're just extending through your upper back and upper lumbar spine, that's okay, but if you're getting all the arch down in the lowest part of your lower back at L4, L5, and L5, S1, you're probably just going to jam things together and make things sore. So you probably just want to avoid that. Another exercise or pose that's similar to the cobra pose is the upward facing dog. And the difference there is with the cobra, it's more of a mobility and stretching exercise, whereas with the upward facing dog, it's a little bit more of a strength and stability exercise. But still, you're kind of hyper-extending at your back and arching it too much, jamming the joints together, and even this doesn't feel really comfortable. So it's probably one that you should probably avoid. So those are the poses to avoid if you do have some upper back pain or some lower back pain. Now, why might doing yoga on a YouTube video or a YouTube channel like this one not be good for your back? Now, largely, if you do it and you do it right and you modify to your intensity, yoga is good for your lower back, but it might not solve the whole problem. And there are 3 reasons why watching a YouTube video probably isn't going to completely solve your back pain. Number 1 is because it's one-way communication. I can talk to you, but I can't see you. You can't talk back to me, and I can't give you feedback either to say, hey, you're doing a great job, keep doing it just like that, or maybe make this correction or move in this way or that way to make it a little bit better. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2 is because of accountability, that it's easy when life gets busy to stop watching the YouTube channel or stop watching the video and to just quit doing it. So that's reason number 2. Because when you do yoga with a class or a group or an instructor, you'll follow through because of the accountability that someone will say, hey, I haven't seen you in a while, why don't you come on in, where have you been, why haven't you been to class in a while? And there's some accountability baked into that. When you do it on yourself, on your own, just by watching the YouTube channel, it's easy just to stop doing it. And reason number 3 is that it doesn't really address the root cause of the problem. That although yoga and stretching is good, if you do it on a YouTube channel and you don't have any feedback, or just doing yoga in general or doing stretches, doesn't always get the thing that started the back pain in the first place. And if you do need some help to find the root cause of your back pain and figure out what you can do to get a lasting solution so that it doesn't keep coming back, we'd be happy to help you out. And just click the button below this video and request a consultation with one of our therapists, and we'd be happy to help you figure out the cause of your back pain and what you can do to relieve it. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.